I have never been married, but I am happily divorced. Ed and I lived together for more than 20 years. He was abusive, controlling, and never once hesitated to tell me what he thought, how I was doing it wrong, and what I should be doing instead. I hated him, but I could not leave him. Ed convinced me that I needed him, and that without him I was worthless, nothing special, and worse. He told me that he was looking out for my best interest, that his way was for my own good, but he always turned on me. He made promises that he never kept. When I hit bottom physically and emotionally, I finally decided to divorce him. Let me tell you a little more about Ed. He is not a high school sweetheart. Ed is not some creep that I started dating in college, and Ed is not a guy that I met in the supermarket checkout line, although he does hang out a lot in grocery stores. Ed's name comes from the acronym ED, as in eating disorder. Ed is my eating disorder. You might recognize Ed as the little voice inside that says, "You just need to lose a few more pounds," or, "Do you know how many calories are in that?" Ed is the one who stares back at you in the mirror and says that you should be dissatisfied with your appearance. Ed talks to all of us. While some of us are deeply embroiled in a relationship with him, others are just casually dating him. Maybe you are just meeting Ed for the first time. Whether you are married to Ed or just flirting with him, this book is for you. I broke free from Ed, my eating disorder, through a therapeutic approach I learned from psychotherapist Tom Rutledge, which involves thinking of the eating disorder as a distinct being with unique thoughts and a personality separate from my own. In one of my first therapy sessions with Tom, he pulled up an extra chair and asked me to talk to the chair as if it were my eating disorder. Tom ignored the "you must be nuts" look I gave him and continued. "If your eating disorder was sitting in this chair right now, what would you say to it?" Well, he was the professional. I was paying this man to help me, so I decided to give it a try. I looked at the chair and said, "Why do you try to control my every move? Why won't you just leave me alone?" In the few moments that it took me to ask those two questions, I felt a little separation from my eating disorder, and it felt so good. Throughout that therapy session, I continued this conversation with my eating disorder. By the end of the hour, I was referring to my eating disorder by a man's name, and for the first time, I had a feeling that I had just taken a significant step toward freedom.